and today we're gonna talk about social psychologists, especially social comparison. And before that, we're gonna introduce ourselves. First, my name is Siska Belata Salih Rumangal.
My name is Landra Hana.
My name is Shakira Lovalia.
My name is Alvin Aidin Muhammad Rafi.
My name is Ayol Nabila.
Happy watching!
Enjoy!
Guys, have you ever felt like your life is this ordinary while your peers seems to have it all figured out?
Actually, yeah, sometimes I feel really insecure when I see people in my age achieving so much more than I do.
Do you think, guys, this feeling that's okay?
I think it's totally valid as humans to feel that way. But don't you think comparing ourselves like that creates a lot of pressure?
It depends. I have a friend who really dislike it when someone else is more successful than them.
Oh, I get it. Like their life seems fine, but they still envy people who are doing better, right?
Exactly.
But isn't comparing yourself like that something motivating? Like, if they can do it, why can't I?
That's true. It really depends on how each person processes it.
Well, I've heard a story that relates to this. It was an animation about a man named Mr. Jones. He just bought a new Mercedes-Benz C-Class and felt really proud because it was considered very luxurious in his neighborhood. He was on a cloud nine at the time. But one day, he saw his neighborhood Mr. Smith driving a brand new Mercedes S-Class, which is more premium, and suddenly Mr. Jones no longer felt proud of his C-Class.
See? Sometimes we feel satisfied with what we have, but as soon as we see someone with something better, that pride vanishes.
You know, I just read that this behavior has been discussed in social psychology. It's called social comparison.
Oh yeah, social comparison is when individuals assess their value by comparing themselves to others, right?
Exactly. Back in 1955, a psychologist named Wayne Festinger hypothesized that people compare themselves to fulfill a basic human need is called self-evaluation. This process is called social comparison theory.
Right. We can see this happening in daily life. For example, someone might feel proud of their achievement or possession, but when they see someone with more, that pride disappears. That's called upward comparison.
And sometimes we compare ourselves to those who have less than us, which makes us feel better. That's called downward comparison.
So social comparison can either boost or lower self-esteem, depending on how we approach it, right?
That's right. If we're not carefully, social comparison can affect our mental health, constantly comparing ourselves to more successful people and lead to increased stress or anxiety.
That's why it's essential to focus on ourselves and our own progress, while social comparison is inevitable. We can manage to avoid unhealthy feelings.
That's true. One key is accepting and appreciating ourselves and our achievements, no matter how small. Don't let social comparison stop us from being grateful.
We also need to stop being trapped by other people's expectations. Everyone has their own path, and that's what matters most. So, what do you think makes people compare themselves to others?
I think it's mainly a lack of self-confidence. What about you?
I agree. It could also feel a stem from being naturally competitive and not wanting to be outdone.
Sure, sometimes it's because they're being compared to other all their life, which made them feeling inadequate.
So, they feel like they don't measure up?
Exactly, which leads to competitiveness and low self-esteem.
So there are many causes for social comparison, including social environment.
Social media plays a big role, especially nowadays.
Totally. Many people compare their achievement to what they see others posting on social media without knowing the struggles or effort behind those posts.
But I think comparing yourself to someone on social media isn't realistic because we don't know their background or their challenge or their struggle, even if their struggle seems similar to us.
Economic inequality is another reason too, because people often compare themselves to rich people and feel unhappy.
Since social comparison is hard to avoid, we need to know how to keep it from becoming negative.
Exactly, but it's time to stop comparing, especially when the response is negative.
I agree. Reaction negatively can lead to jealous, hurted, and even injury.
And that will only harm us in the long run.
Right, our thoughts heavily influence what happens in our life.
That's because it shows a lack of belief in our ability, which definitely affect real life.
Yeah, I have read that many people fail because they're too focused on others' success instead of their own goals. I think successful people tend to ignore what others are doing and focus solely on their job.
Exactly. People like that often feel perpetually dissatisfied with themselves, which can rob them of happiness. Comparing ourselves to others often leads to comparing happiness, make us feel worse.
I get it. It can also lead to self-blame and demotivation. Like, well, of course, they went to a top university.
And that just breeds insecurity. But honestly, no one is perfect. Everyone has strength and weakness.
So then you get stuck comparing yourself to other people. It's never end. It's only make you tired in physically and emotionally.
Yeah, focus on what you have and work on to improve it.
Wow, the negative impacts of social comparison are really significant, especially on ourselves.
Totally. It affects not just us, but also those around us. But the biggest impact is definitely on ourselves.
So how do we deal with social comparison?
First, we need to practice gratitude. Being thankful can help us stop comparing ourselves to others.
Agreed. Another way is to limit social media use. Instead of scrolling through feeds you spark comparisons, redirect your time to more positive activity.
Absolutely. Also, shift your mindset from competing to appreciating. When you see someone else progress, don't compare it to yourself, instead celebrate it.
And most importantly, focus on yourself and can observe other growth, but don't let it lead to comparisons. Focus on your strengths and weaknesses to improve yourself.
If managing social comparison becomes too overwhelming, don't hesitate to seek help from professionals like psychologists.
Yeah, in conclusion, a social comparison is a natural part of life, but how we respond to it determines whether it has a positive or negative impact.
Exactly. While we can avoid social comparison entirely, we can be more mindful and wise about how we handle it.
If left unchecked, social comparison can lead to envy and self-doubt.
But if we see in the positive light, social comparison can motivate us to grow. It's all about how we process it.
That's why we need to focus on ourselves instead of always comparing with others.
Remember, life isn't about who gets there first. It's about how well you live it and how happy you are.
Agree.
So that's all from us. We hope you can get insight from the podcast and thank you.